Welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Today is another edition of our leadership conversation, and I've got a beautiful lady in the conversation with me today. Her name is Dr. Adama Kalokoh, all the way from the United States. And I love this lady because I think one of the reasons why I connected with her, I believe that she's into female empowerment, female education, and that is something that is also on my heart. So I am very grateful, and that's how come we connected about a year and a half ago. She's the founder of Impact Sierra Leone, and she's going to be telling us all about that. She is a global Goodwill ambassador as well. And there's something else that I found out about her, that she's one of the top human rights defenders of 2019. And I guess she's going to be telling us all about that. So today, Dr. Adama, welcome to the show today. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to come and share your leadership journey with us. And I'm so grateful and thankful. And I just want to encourage you, viewers, if you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you can hit the notification button, because there's lots and lots and lots of leadership conversation that will be coming over in the next few weeks. We will meet every Wednesday at 8 p.m. If there's a burning leadership question that you want to ask us, I'll be very grateful if you can put in the comment section below, or if you can send me an email as well, so that the next guest come, we can be discussing it with the next guest. Welcome aboard, Dr. Adama.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored. I'm humbled. Any way that I can be able to have a platform to have those conversations with other beautiful, powerful women, I believe that in itself gives other people empowerment. So I'm honored. I'm thankful.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Dr. Daman, I mean, this whole show, what we try to do is talk about leaders and talk about their journey, because I believe that we need to understand where that leadership journey all started from, where you are now, and where you see yourself in the future, because the whole thing is to inspire other leaders to come on board. Because the reason I started all of this was a lot of people are kind of scared of stepping up into leadership, and they will see things going wrong and will not really want to get involved in it, or they will say, I've experienced other people get burnt in the past, so why should I bother? Why should I do it? And so would you be able to tell us, when did you realize that I think I've been called to be a leader? Or when did your first leadership appointment pop up? Or when did the first opportunity pop up for you?
Well, I believe that doors open when your heart opens. I believe that I was designed for this, meaning that it doesn't seem like work. It does not seem like I'm waking up each day with a task. It actually really feels like a piece of me is being empowered because I put myself in my work. And so this journey really started before I am who you see today. This journey started because my roots began in Africa. And so it is really an honor to do work, to do this journey. This journey is really a part of something that I didn't even know about, because my mom and my dad were born and raised in Sierra Leone. And so my journey began when I was young, because they put that in us. They let us see them doing different community things when we were young, giving back to their village, making those functions to raise money. So we saw that. I saw that. I grew up with that. And I believe that's really where my passion started. I always knew I love to help people. I'm always the one that comes in a room and just smiles just for no reason. They would call me goofy, but I just feel like, well, why can't I? I just felt life was just, too much pain going around. And I always was told that, you really do seem like you brighten up the room. And I believe that's really what is about leadership. You should change a life. And a lot of people poured into me. And I really have to always give that kind of honor to people that just saw something in me. And as people see things in you, it grows, it motivates you, it pumps you up, it makes you feel like you can do it. And so I would say for me, one of the number one things is being surrounded by a lot of great people from when I was a young age to at this age. I would say they're mentors, but I would also say they are just a family of people that I have been able to take different things from. And it has made it so much easier for me to do work, even on those hardest days. I found that sometimes when I'm like facing one of like, oh gosh, this is tough, I will get like an out of the blue message from somebody. I admire what you're doing. I'd love to have you on my show. And it just says, all right, get that engine started. My engine starts running. The gas that I thought ran out, I am pumped up and I'm saying, you know what? Yesterday is gone. Today's a new day. So I really believe that my faith, growing up with my family, but also my faith has a big, big, big role. As a teenager, I learned about, the teachings of, I'm a Christian. So, I learned about you have to give back. That's just God created you to give back to the world and to give back to his people, whether it was growing up, serving in soup kitchens or, volunteering. I was always surrounded by doing activities that were positive. And I really say that for a lot of young people, surround yourself with positivity and giving at a young age. It really becomes a part of your makeup when you're older. Your giving is natural to give. And so I was taught that way. And growing up and as a teenager, I knew I really wanted to it felt good to give back. It felt good to serve on, we would do Thanksgiving holiday meals and, baskets and all those things. So I grew up into that. And I'm not saying I came from a rich household, because I was also on the receiving end. So being on the receiving end, that someone giving to you just because they know that there's a need, it makes a memory in your mind. And you know what? I'm going to pay it forward. So someone gave important to me, to my family. I remember vividly, there's one time I was at a Safeway, and I remember Christmas holiday was coming up, and I knew my mom, it's 5 of us, we didn't have money. And I would go to Safeway, I was doing groceries or something, and I think I was about to walk home or something. And a woman, she just saw me and said, "You're a pretty little girl." And she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm okay." She said, "Are you ready for Christmas?" I said, "It's okay. It doesn't matter." Because my mind was always like, I don't know. I don't know what was I thinking, but I just kind of said, "Yeah, I guess so." And she said, "What do you want?" And I loved art. I love creating things. And I told her that it was 5 of us and we just got into a house, but we may not get gifts. And she said, do you think your mommy would mind if I buy you guys gifts? This is a stranger. And
oh my
I mean,
God.
and I was like, I don't know. And she basically said, "Can you take my number, and if you can ask your mom, I would love to buy you and your brother and sister's gifts." And so, it's just different things like that. This is when I was 12. I remember that somebody always was giving to me. And so I knew that that was just going to be something I was going to be doing. And it was a joy. And so as I fast forward to, going into the military, again, service, you're taught to, service is leadership. If you are not a servant, you are not leading, because the troops, as we were called, we had our troop leaders, they had to do the same thing that their troops were doing, leave no man behind. And so I believe that everything in our lives play a major role in who we are as we get older. It plays a role in your destiny if you allow it. I took away what I went through when I was in the Air Force for 4 years, and it made me realize that even in the military, that whole dedication to service has to be a part of your life. You have to help your fellow man, no matter what. And then from there, it just seemed like another door open to, I turned my obstacles into my opportunities. I lost my dad. I was about 2 weeks shy of my 18th birthday. And it was so devastating because I was extremely close to my father. Have his cheekbones, have his skin, have his smile. And so losing him was like, what in the world is going to happen? How can I move on? I was a young airman and living in the barracks, could not sleep. But over time, again, God used his love for Africa. It just seemed like with losing him gave birth to my love for Sierra Leone. Gave birth my love to say, you know what, I'm going back to his community and we're going to honor his legacy not knowing that it would turn into what it is now. So that seed was planted. You know, we have seeds that are planted in our life through circumstances, even through tragedies. The tragedies become your triumph. And so I really look back at that time when I lost my dad, that it gave me a bigger voice, because I didn't have a strong interest in Africa. I was all about building my empire in the US and, you know, maybe doing some things, but that interest in Sierra Leone really gave birth when I lost my dad. And I believe that, you know, all of my sisters, we all kind of took that, like, we have to, this is how we will heal. Because I know how much he loved, and he loves especially the rural parts of Sierra Leone, where a lot of attention is not, you know, brought to it. So that whole, the opportunity to serve, the opportunity to give, my love for Sierra Leone. Right now, you know, I know that there's so many needs around the world, but God decided that this is where I would be able to prosper and thrive and have a bigger voice, because I'm a descendant of Sierra Leone. I am living in the US. I have an opportunity to be a bridge, because I have people that are in the US that know nothing about Sierra Leone unless they hear about, that's the place where the war was. So I have the opportunity, and I've used the opportunity for Facebook and social media to be a voice for my people. And it has actually brought a lot of honor to them, because I've been told, even when I went, wow, that we don't see this every day, because most people that are living in the US, I wouldn't say all of them, but, you know, it's just not always every day that those who are born in the US fall in love that much. You know, we give charity, but to really invest, it's not every day. So for them, they are like praying for me. When I went, they were like, you know, you remembered us. And this started when I first visited in 2003. I didn't know that was the trip that would change my life. So I really say that this journey started a long time. So this is why I think about it. I'm like, wow, you know, this was my this is what God designed me for. And I have had a lot of other things that I've wanted to do. I told you before, I was trying to do decorations. I was always into creating flowers, and I wanted to go into wedding planning. I did a little bit of that, and, you know, it just seemed like nothing really grew to fruition. But God was still planting a seed, because you know, I have been given vision. God is saying, you're going to still encourage and inspire and empower the women there, and even the men. You can teach them about decorations, which I started doing, and you can really use the skills with even event planning. You can bring that in and in planning events. So you know, it's like he's been speaking to me that all is not lost. All those things that I taught you to do. And even when I was doing AmeriCorps, I remember I did AmeriCorps at the college, and I was so bummed because all my peers are making money and, you know, really getting into their careers. And I'm like, why am I doing this 2-year fellowship? And I'm a volunteer manager, you know, organizing events with all over DC, soup kitchens and shelter. But it's all coming, all those skills of mobilizing volunteers, motivating people, and networking and talking and being a voice for your cause. You know, I look back and I say, you know what, that was priceless, because it's not every day you can just get into a room and be excited and motivated about what you're doing. And that's really what I feel like I get to do great work every day. This is not my 9 to 5, but I know God will make that door open soon down the road. But it is definitely something that got me through last year's pandemic. You know, a lot of people were like hopeless. I said, you know what? There's still hope, you know, and the positive mindset keeps you going through the most difficult tragedies in life. You know, so I
mean, there's some great, there's some great stuff that you said there that I really love. You said service, leadership is service. And that's one of the messages that I want to drive home to people. Leadership is service. Leadership is not about all the tiaras and the crowns and being seen, being heard. It is about service. And at the core of every leadership journey has to be service. And then you talked about giving back. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, is the giving back. When God is giving you the opportunity to reach somewhere, you always have to reach back and reach out and help someone else. And I love the obstacles being an opportunity. A lot of us have obstacles in our life, and we let the obstacles and the limitations stop us. You can let your obstacles or your challenges become a limitation and a barrier, or you can let it be a sling that propels you to the next level. And it looks like your dad's situation, because a lot of people could have just given up and that's it. Oh my God, I was so close to dad and now he's gone. What am I going to do? But you use that as a springboard to be able to move to the next level, to be able to do what dad's real visions was, that he probably was not able to achieve it to the magnitude that you are achieving it now. And you did that. And I love the bit about seeds. He said, God is God, so many seeds planted on the inside of us. And I also talk about dormant seeds, because you were saying you're doing all these decorations, you're doing all these various things, but they were not for that moment. They were times of learning. And then every stage in your life, there's a seed that moves from dormancy to effectiveness, or moves from dormancy to be utilized at that particular point in time. And which is what, I mean, you've just summed it up brilliantly. I know that you are the founder of Impact Sierra Leone. Could you tell us a little bit about what Impact Sierra Leone is and what it does?
Yes. So Impact Sierra Leone is a result of many years of me serving in so many different groups, but never having my own. I've been a part of a lot of groups that did service for Sierra Leone that were based in the US. So I served in a lot of capacities, but then I had that fear, like, let me just keep helping other people and, being in the behind the scenes. But I just woke up one day and decided, if I'm going to really do great work, I feel like God just put too much in me to just kind of be limited. And so been talking with different people, again, being, finding mentors, finding my voice. I launched last year, officially launched Impact Sierra Leone. And it really is an organization that is built on empowerment. That's like our tag word. We have started with serving and working with orphanages, but now we've kind of branched out to a broader piece in serving communities, specifically the farming community. And so right now, our two focuses are just our empowerment and education. In 2020 alone, we were able to do a variety of service projects, working with primarily in the rural community of Yonibana. We provided COVID-19 materials for senior secondary school students that were going back to take an exam. The wash buckets, sanitizers, and we also had the face masks. So that was, in June. And then we were introduced to farming, and that allowed us to send funds for tools and seedlings. And through that effort and through us, really making awareness of our work in agriculture and sustainable development, which is really, really key and important in promoting and growing communities. We were able to partner with another organization called Farms Family Agricultural Resource Management Services, and they donated tools and seedlings as well. And through that effort, these farmers, who most of them told me that they weren't doing anything, they would just be at home. A lot of the men were saying, their children would just be looking at them, and there's so much agricultural opportunities, but when you don't have the seeds, when you don't have the tools, and you don't have the money, the funds, it's just a waste. And so Impact Sierra Leone came on board and partnered with Kampala. There's a farm that was already established, and we just really, bring hope. We bring hope to communities, and we're a new organization, so we're kind of still starting out, but we have been able to do a lot. We do have I have been grateful to have a lot of donated clothes and shoes and supplies, and as a result, we shipped tons of barrels, and I was able to be there to distribute some of them, and just being able to see them receive things that they don't have. That it's a lot of disparities in the rural community. There's not a lot of marketplaces. There's not opportunities for the farmers to market. So a lot of times they grow what they eat, and so that is a need that we recognize. So, we really try to focus on the individual and empowering them, not just giving them water, but helping, teaching them to make water clean and get access and create access to clean water, because we can do much more when you teach them and empower them and encourage them for the communities, as opposed to just dropping off, things. We've also partnered. Our efforts started by supporting an orphanage in Waterloo, Save the Young Girls Foundation orphanage, where we were able to send school supplies and help with empowerment activities, sewing. Through my efforts, we were able to have sewing machines donated. So our goal, our hope, is that we could continue on this trend, and we're actually going to be kicking off a campaign that will be, because when we went there, I was like, I want to just hear the needs, and the primary need was food. A lot of them, they don't eat regularly, and if you don't eat, you can't work those 8 hours with all that strength and not get sick. A lot of them suffer from getting sickness, and so we decided, we're going to, right now, our current effort is to really work with a rural community that's primarily farmers, and really rebuild that community through resources, helping the kids. There are tons of kids, so we were able to also we had a book bag drive in October, and I was able to distribute those school book bags with supplies to the kids of an orphanage in the rural community as well. So we're all about really providing those quality education and achieving those sustainable development goals. Those are really guides everything that we do. And as this is also a blessing with me being a Global Goodwill Ambassador, because again, all these things kind of transcend, they all kind of link together, and it really helps us plan our efforts better. And so we had a busy year, but we want to, really try to focus on, working with the one village community, and then we're able to branch out and do other things. So we're excited.
That's quite a lot to be doing in 2019. And it sounds like you went in with a one idea, with a one thing, and then as you stepped in, you began to identify so many other courses, so many other things that was needed in the community, and you started pulling resources from different places to say, come on, I've seen the farmers, they could do with some help. What can I do as a leader to help the farmers? And then you started bringing those resources in. Okay, I've got these kids, these young girls, they're in orphanages. What can I do really to help? They need clothes. I'm going to pull those resources, and that is leadership. And so sometimes people expect that you're probably just going to be in the one field or just do the one thing. But I think the more you do, or the minute you step out, God begins to make the vision clearer. God begins to bring so many different opportunities in for you to do. And the other thing I was saying is, a lot of people are saying, oh, but 2020, things can't happen. And 2020, I'm concentrating on myself. Maybe I may have lost my own job, or maybe I may have my own difficulties. But you were saying, come on, difficulties in my own personal life or not, let's not focus on me. Let us focus on someone else. Let me see what can I do for someone else. And for me, that is the reason why I kind of really like what you're doing. It's not necessarily about me. What does the next person do? Because I always say because I'm a Christian as well, and one of the things that I always say is, when you help other people, and when you are praying for the needs of other people, when you are providing for the needs of other people, guess what? God is looking after you, and God is providing your needs. But we have sometimes developed a culture where people become so selfish, and it's a me kind of mentality, and me kind of culture. This is what I want, look at me. But then you were saying, come on, it's not about me. Let us go back and look, and all the various individuals in those places need our support. And I'm going to try and bring all of this together. I'm going to put up some pictures, if you don't mind, Adama. I'm going to put up some pictures of some of the projects that you are doing, because I see all of that on LinkedIn a lot, and so I'll get some pictures of you and put it up and put your contact details on if there's anyone that is really interested and wanting to help, because I believe that not all of us can set up these charities. Not all of us can go out into the field and go and do this work, but then your money can go, your time can go, your resources can go. A lot of us have tons and tons of clothing sat in garages or books or bags, so many things that you can donate that will help someone rather than sitting in the attic or in the garage or basement and going to waste. We can connect and then do that. That's really good. There was one question I think I sent to you is, what is the high and lows of leadership, or what has been some of your highs and some of your lows? I think it's for, maybe I should start with myself so that it makes the subject a little bit comfortable. So I run this business that I've been running for, this is my 13th year. And I think into my 5th year, I came against some major problems in the organization. And I just thought, look, this is it for me. It's just going to shut down. I can't do this anymore. And I had such an attack, such an anxiety attack. And I just kind of felt my whole world was crumbling. And for 2 weeks, I was more of a recluse for 2 weeks, and I was just kind of fretting, and I was so terrified, and I was so scared that this is it, it's done. I've got young kids. I had 2 young kids at the time, and that is it. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then after about 2 weeks, I kind of thought to myself, hang on, how did I get here? God got me here. I didn't know I was going to set up a business. I was going about my normal duties, being a manager. I had just gone on to go and do an MBA, and that was it. But then God opened a door for me to get into business that I never dreamed that I was going to go into. So then I started thinking to myself, if it is God that brought me this far, he's either going to get me out of the mess that I'm in now, or he's going to take me somewhere else. So it's only when I kind of got my mind to that stage that then I began to recover from it. And then I began to see, because it was all fear that was built up in my own mind, because that's the definition of fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real, because I couldn't think straight at that time. I was just so consumed with the issue. And the minute I told myself, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah. I began to calm down, because I realized that the worst that could happen is you lose the business, something else come, you take your qualification, go and get a job or something else. And to God be the glory, I never lost the business. But then I began to think, I began to reason with God. I began to hear what God was saying, because at the end of it, what I realized was God wanted to shift me to the next level. And sometimes, when challenges and problems come, we think it's the devil that's against you. The devil is, but God is using that opportunity, that low moment, to shift you, to get you closer to him, to get you pressing in more, to get you reaching in deeper, so that he can teach you, he can propel you to the next level. And that was what that experience was about. And after that, God, because I had to shape up my systems, I had to do a lot of things internally in the organization that made sure that I was resilient and strong enough for the next phase, because the influx of business that was coming, the systems that I was operating could not handle it. And so that is why God allowed the flaws to come out, so that I can see what the flaws are. And then when I got my head correct and I was able to put systems and everything in place and recruit the right resources that I needed, then there was an explosion. And then I realized that, oh God allowed all of this to enable me move to the next level. So if you could tell us a little bit about your own highs and lows, if you've got any.
Yeah, so definitely giving is great, but it definitely has its moments where you're like, wow, I think I'm gonna take a break. There are moments where, I think we have expectations as givers. You just like to see that whole face light up, like, wow, this is great. I am so humbled, I am grateful, and it doesn't always come your way. That grateful, that gratitude is not always there. And so I've come across that, and surprisingly from people that I was not expecting it to come from like that. And you know how they say your feelings are hurt. I wouldn't say I'm an emotional person, but sometimes things like that really matter to me, especially when it's a certain from different people. So I've had moments last year, especially when I like poured myself into an effort. And maybe some people don't know how much work I put behind, shipping a barrel, or, packing clothes, and, running around the city trying to get clothes, only to, not get some attitudes that are appreciative.
Yeah.
And it makes you like, you know what? then fine. I won't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I get it, but there's a new morning every day. And I've even had some challenges where, we face some difficulty with some of our direct, the people that we were serving directly, not following our policy and guidance, where it can be reflective in a bad way on you. And so you do have to kind of like take a step back and look at what can happen down the road, and then take it back to God, because at the end of the day, you don't want to do what pleases people. You have to do what is right overall. And so I try to make myself educated on, making sure that I'm not pleasing people, but really, pleasing God first, and really following the laws of the land, because the laws of the land at the end of the day will dictate whether you can do greater work. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so in the interest of trying to be, keep those, people happy with what you're doing and not following your policy, it can be a problem. So I've had some times this year where I've had to just really get, smarten up and not be, compassionate, but really have to kind of have that tough skin. And even when I didn't want to, I had, you have no choice, because it could really mean how much credibility will you have if something happens that you allow just because you were just trying to avoid a confrontation. Or a conflict. You have to erase that. You have to think, business minded when you're doing running an NGO, and sometimes people are like, this is, just have to give, but you have to be smart. You have to be smart about it. And I think for me, especially because I'm based in the US, and so we're registered. And so I've had some challenges that, with people, because people, not everybody's going to be your personality, and not everybody is going to be, just because you give with a heart of gold and with joy, it doesn't mean you're going to get that back. And so you have to go back to why you're doing what you're doing. So I'm always like, remember your why. Remember why you're doing this, because in that, it will, for me anyway, it really has pushed me on those hard days. I'm just a person, and I've learned the value of positive thinking, because it really is something that helped me. I also faced anxiety attacks last year, because it seemed like everything was happening at the same time. I told you that I lost my brother in February as I was preparing to go to Sierra Leone in March. And then I, postponed it to April, and then Corona came, and then my kids were at home with me all day in school, and I got sick. So it was just like everything was happening. Difficult. But then when God healed me, I felt like, I have to turn my healing and then help other people. And I always tell people that my activities and all I did last year, it seemed like I did more last year than I did in previous years. It was just from back to back. And because I decided to, number one, be a voice and share my cause, not to boast myself, but because I had so much passion in helping. If it was just one person, I was going to let my voice impact that one person. And allowing different mentors, God sent some really great people in my life, just even from LinkedIn. And, sometimes you don't even have to run after it. I feel like the favor of God, when you decide that, you know what, I'm going to let go and let God, and I'm just going to, give it my heart, give it my all, and have fun, because if you make it seem like work, people will see that in you. And you gotta have a way to inspire and bring people to your cause with the right heart, with a pure heart. And I'm not, not to boast, but I feel like it seemed like every week, just when I just thought that, oh man, things are not moving, I would get a call or email would say, I'd love to, I've been following you, and you don't know who's watching you. Yes. So everything you do, everything you say, everything the step that you make, I tell people, be careful of your steps. Even when you're on social media, don't use social media to bring people down or to, promote yourself in a negative way. Use it to help people because it will do great things. And I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, I used it every day because I was, having like those anxiety attacks. And I said, you know what? I need a positive message. And I decided every day I was going to post a positive message. And then that turned into something else. And then the opportunity to do things. I bounced back, after just mourning my brother. I decided, you know what? This is not the end. There's still greater that God has. Even in this, there's something God will get the glory. And so that from that point on, it just seems like opportunities after opportunities came about. So I'm really, really grateful for last year. Some people may say, that was the worst year. Mm-hmm. And I feel that for me, first of all, every year of life is a blessing, and we survived it. And I pay honor to those who lost their lives, and may they rest in peace. But while you are still here, still breathing, still walking, every step that you make should be purposeful. Yeah. Because there's going to be a time when you are also going to be no longer on this earth. What do you want to be left? Your legacy. You have to have that legacy mindset, because everything you do in the present should not just be for the present, but it should be for future generations.
Yeah. I mean, this is so powerful. There's a scripture that I was reading and I've been teaching on, that we are not just responsible for the one generation, because God was talking to the children of Israel. He says, teach it to your children, teach it to the children yet unborn, and teach it to the children of the children yet unborn. So we are responsible for 3 generations. And what sort of legacies are we leaving behind? We should make sure that you're leaving behind. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. What legacies? And when it says inheritance, it's not just the material wealth, it's the wisdom that we're leaving, it's the knowledge that we leave. What knowledge are you transferring? What morals, what sort of qualities are you transferring to your children, to the generations to come? I think you touched on something that it was not really part of what we're saying today, but I think it's quite relevant that we talk about it. It's the whole essence of, what are you using social media for? What are you using your platform for? Personally, I believe that social media or my platform has to be used as a voice, or as a place to impact someone, as a place to empower someone, as a place to lift up someone, not as a place to show off, not as a place to demoralize or demotivate someone, or not as a place to really embarrass or be abusive to people. And I think that as leaders, we have to be very cautious, because you've got people following you, as you said. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who's watching. You don't know that one thing that you did today, that one word, negative word that you said today, the lasting effect of it in the life of someone. So as leaders, I hope that, and I pray that we all get this message, take this message home, that I should make sure that everything that I post on is either helping someone, inspiring someone, motivating someone, bringing someone along. There's somebody that felt hopeless this morning because they popped up on my page and saw my post. They are just that little bit encouraged, or it's helped them to overcome a negative thought or negative self-image that they have. I mean, today, I was on LinkedIn today, and there were about 3 ladies that I hadn't kind of connected with in a very long time. So I just thought, come on, I'm just going to go and send them a message. So I sent them a message in the message section to say, look, I haven't heard from you for a while. I mean, again, these are virtual friends, you would say. And one of the ladies was so overjoyed that I got that she got that message, and she was telling me that she'd lost her brother and she'd been down in the dumps. But come on, just sending that message kind of picked her up, and kind of felt that, because sometimes it's not the people that you see day to day that can help you out of a situation or can say a word that helps. Sometimes it's the strangers as well, is the virtual meets as well. So I want people to know that even though we've got COVID happening or the pandemic, and you cannot physically see people, you cannot physically touch people, words can touch. The way you look in that post would touch. What you were doing in that post would touch. Because as I said, I connected with you 2 years ago only because of you were empowering young girls. I saw so much passion for the orphanage ministry that you were doing. I saw so much passion about all the activities you were doing back in Sierra Leone. And I was like, wow, that's, I mean, now that, do you get it? It's, whereas some people every now and then will do some random act of kindness, and it's a random act, it's a one-off. That is great as well. But then I could tell that there was a lot of passion. So again, as leaders, we should make sure that we are very passionate about what we do. And I like the bit where you said your why. It brings me to this. Should our why always be because of money? Should your why
No,
always be because of your personal benefit?
you know, money doesn't last, and money can be funny. So if you go into it for that, then it's not going to be long lasting,
Yeah.
because there are going to be days that you don't know what will happen financially today or tomorrow. We don't know. Your why really has to be what leads you. What is the reason that pushes you to do this work? You know, for me, I have a deeper why. I think we all have a journey, and I believe that you should use your journey to do great things for the world. And for me, fortunately, my journey led me back to Sierra Leone. And I am a daughter of Sierra Leone. I'm born and raised in the US, but nurtured in Sierra Leone. My name, my heritage, my people are all in Sierra Leone. And so for me, that made it that much easier for me to always know my why, because I've never met any of my grandparents alive. I've heard of them. My grandmother, my mom's mother, I'm named after her. And all I have is memories and pictures. But for me, they are part of my why. You know, I didn't get a chance to meet them, but I can at least uphold their name as their granddaughter is doing something for Sierra Leone. And again, my father, you know, he didn't live a long life, but I can at least extend his life through my work and be his voice, go back to his village, and, you know, they know, oh, this is James Conte's daughter that is trying, you know, God bless his soul, you know. And so those things make it more meaningful for me, you know. And so I always tell people, think about the most important thing in your life that you know will never run out. Like, you know, there's some things that run, you know, you're like, okay, that chapter is done. I can move on. But this one, this passion, this efforts, this is a part of me, so much so that I will always be doing things for Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
In different capacities. I will always be a voice for the young girls in Sierra Leone, because if my mom never traveled to the US, I would be a young girl in Sierra Leone. So my why is not based on money. It's really based on my being connected, my connectedness to Sierra Leone, and the love that I have for the people that are my people, and that that importance is just something that will never die out.
Yeah. Oh, great. That's very good. There's a question that I want to ask you, and I think both of us, because we are both Christians. And so the question that I've got is, how has your relationship with God shaped your journey? Because for me, it's been everything. So how has your relationship shaped it?
Yeah, so it definitely has shaped my thinking, for one thing, because, you know, again, I always believe God created me for this. He designed me for this work, for this purpose. You know, he put everything in me, all the things that I experienced in life, that God put me through, that God brought me through. It really, I look at it in a bigger way. And I always know that there's a great thing, there's something in me that allows me to be able to give so much. You know, I've had people ask, like, so where did you learn, you know, like, how did you, you know, how do you do all this? And, you know, I'm single mother, you know, 2 kids, young kids, and, you know, running around and doing all these things. Sometimes I'm with my kids and they're like, when do you find the time? And I'm like, God gives me strength. And I know that, you know, this is not in vain. I know that all of what he has built me up to do, all the things that he has taught me, the gifts that he put in me, were for a reason. And so God, my faith has a big part in it, because it really is what helps my thinking stay positive. I know that I've had fears, with even starting this NGO, I was like, you know what, I think I'll just kind of still help other people. Like it took a long time for me to really just decide to go and get registered and, you know, get established, do all those different things to put policies in place. You know, it took a while. The website, you know, everything was just like, you know, but each phase, you know, I pray God, it's part of my destiny. So I believe that we all have helpers that God put in our path. And I've had some, again, incredible people, whether they be destiny helpers or mentors, God put them in my life. And I said, God, help me, because I don't know how to do this. And sometimes I don't even ask, and it comes to me. And I have to tell that person, let me tell you, you are an answered prayer, because even you, Gertrude, the voice that you have given to me, what we've exchanged in this platform is an answered prayer, because I remember the times when I did not like public speaking. Was very shy. I was very insecure. I was not confident in my speaking. And I thought, I think I can just decorate a room and be quiet and be okay. But it seemed like as much as I ran away from it, God just thrust me into it. And he exposed me to some great people that gave me a voice. And as scary as it was, it became easier, because I said, God, if you can give me the strength, you know, so that my faith is something that I have to always lean back on, even when, you know, I have no clue how we're going to get to this part. And then we get to it and I'm like, victory, you know. So that whole positive mindset that, you know, always that there's a hope, you know, that all is not lost. Even last year, you know, I say there was some times when I had to rely on anchor songs, anchor scriptures to just kind of like, okay, how are we going to do this? And I mean, it really is the direction. It's the really, let me say, like, you know, how you kind of pull, you have to pull from somewhere so that you get your strength. That's where my faith comes in. And I know that it helps me in even how I speak, my mindset about everything that comes out of my mouth, especially when I'm on social media. It has to give back to somebody. You know, that is something that God teaches us to always, even when you are tired, sometimes even in your exhaustion, you can still give, and God will give you back. You know, the favor of God will always rest on you. So I really credit God for belief, because that whole belief in God helps you believe in yourself, and it helps you to believe in others. And so that voice that God has given me, this is why I feel so much an obligation to give and be a voice for others, and to be the one that, like last year, I remember there was like the toughest month. I think it was like April or May. It was like doomsday in the US. It was like the numbers were so high. They were like, okay, 500,000 today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody, we weren't even going outside. And I said, you know what, let me go and I started creating sunshine pictures and just sending it to people. And they were like, oh my gosh, I needed this. So when you feel that, you know, that's something that God puts in you, to just always be in the habit of encouraging, being an encourager, lifting people up, because you don't know what people are going through. And so I really thank God, because I feel like the whole greatness in me, that's my pillar thing. I always tell people I stand in greatness because I know that God is in me. And because of that, I can be able to open my voice. I can go to Sierra Leone even during the pandemic and go safely and come back and still fulfill the mission, and know that all that I'm doing, God is at work. God is not done with me. He is still working on me. He is still pruning me from where I was. People that know me from high school, they were like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you are Adama today. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. You were so quiet. Oh my gosh. And so that is something that is a motivation for me. And I know that it's only God, you know. So I really think
that's amazing. That's really amazing, because again, it's God that's giving you the either the voice, the vision, the mission that you were on. And I realize that sometimes some leaders, initially they're so passionate with God, they've got a great relationship with him, and the minute he puts them on the pedestal, they just kind of disconnect with him. But the thing is, you should remain connected. He's our source. And I think that's one of the words that came resonating through everything you're saying. God is your source. Stay plugged in. Because if you disconnect, you are going to lose. Because God is only giving you, sometimes he's only giving you 5% of what he's called you to be. And every stage, as you remain connected to him, he continues to give you. He continues to give you. But people get the 5%, the 10%, and they think, gosh, I've arrived. I can do this on my own now. The world says I should believe in myself.
Right.
It's good to believe in yourself, but you got to know that that self believing in was placed in you by God. And so remain connected. And then he continues to give you. He shows you a little bit of the picture, gives you a little bit of the jigsaw, and you begin to fit it together. And as you go with him, he strengthens you. And I like the bit where you said leadership is not easy. The fact that God has called you to it doesn't make it easy. Or the fact that God has called you to it doesn't mean that the journey is going to be so smooth and there's going to be no problems at all. But then the same God that put you on that journey, he's the same God that's going to see you through the problems. He's the same God that's going to give you the strength that you need to fulfill it. He's the same God that's going to bring the resources. He's going to bring the tools. He's going to bring the infrastructure. He's going to bring the mentors into your life for you to be able to fulfill it. I always say that whenever the student is ready, the teacher will show up. And the reason why mentors and teachers are not showing up is because we are not ready. It's because we are still sat in our comfort zone, and we haven't got up or haven't come to the realization that this is what God wants me to do. Or sometimes we overthink the process. God tells you you're going to open up an NGO. I need you to do this particular thing or go into this business, and people are not ready to take the step. They overthink the process. Oh my God, but who am I? How can I achieve this? How can I do it? We make the process so complicated, or we are so fearful of the process. But as you said, if you remain connected to God, we begin to take the first step. Then the next one becomes a little bit easier. Then the next one becomes a little bit easier. And then you realize, oh my God, I was indeed born for this. I was indeed created for this. So thank you very much. We're almost coming to an end. And I just want you, what tips can you give to somebody that is stepping up in leadership? What I mean, I will use the word, my word, one of the words that I use is passion. But what one word or two words would you want to give to someone who is getting up and wanting to step into their leadership position or mandate or role?
You said one word?
It could be a few.
Inspiration is one. You need to be inspired. Your work needs to not only inspire you, but it needs to inspire others. If it's not, for me, if it's not inspirational, if it doesn't brighten up my world to see the work that you're doing, I believe whatever you do should inspire you. Joy, I always say find the joy in the journey. Even when the days are hard, you need to find that kind of joy in others, people that are on your team. It needs to radiate, because the joy and the persona or attitude that you give off, will always, whatever you give, you will get. So attitude, humility, that's a big thing. A lot of leaders lose sight of that in the pursuit of power, being a powerful leader. Humility, being grateful for the people that help you, being grateful for the people that give to you or give to your cause. You have to really embrace that gratitude and really making people feel good about giving to what you're doing. A lot of people lose sight of that. It is really, really important. So joy, humility, empowerment. How do you leave the person that you're helping? Is it just they're just gonna maybe remember that you brought them a pen or that you taught them how to write? Empowerment is a big thing that I feel that every leader should want to have in not only the communities or the populations that they serve, but again, the people that they work with. Their team should be empowered about the work that they're doing so that they can really have that much impact. And that's another tag word, impact. And that's where we can impact Sierra Leone. We wanted to transform, change, touch lives that will be able to grow up and also change a life. It's that whole domino effect.
Yeah.
So those are some of my words.
And just to add, my company name is Impacting Lives.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes. So it's all about impact, and everything that you do has to be, I think, at the core of it, and it all links in again with legacy that we're talking about. Dr. Daman, I want to say a very big thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end of this week's session, and come on, this has been a very power-packed, information-packed session, and I just want to say a massive thank you. I would want you to leave a comment in the comment section below. I'm going to also put up some information and Dr. Adama's email and her website. And if God is encouraging you to do something, there's so many courses around us, but this is a wonderful course. This is a course that I believe in myself, and she's doing an amazing job. And so you can contact her. And if you want to be a blessing to Sierra, you don't need to come from Sierra Leone to go and help Sierra Leone. I don't come from Sierra Leone. I'm from Ghana. So we are all helping. There is so many courses around us. Just help. It's humanity. For me, I put it all together as humanity. Whether it's a Black person, I'm helping a white person, a Latino, a Mexican. It is a help. We are all God's children, and we are helping. So you don't need to come from Sierra Leone. Just contact Dr. Adama and be a blessing to her, be a blessing to the girls. If you believe in agriculture and helping the farmers, you can do that. If you believe in helping the girl child, you can do that. If you're thinking, look, I want to provide food, or I want to provide some essentials for orphans, please do get in touch and be a blessing. And the two of us know we have given of ourselves, we have given of our resources, and I can definitely testify that God is good.
Yes. Amen.
And he has watched over us, he has protected us, he has provided for us in our own lives because of giving. Yes. So God will definitely bless you. And these are some of the legacies that you will be leaving behind, not just for yourself, but for future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Don't hesitate to join us next week. We are meeting next week, a Wednesday again at 8 p.m. GMT. We're going to be on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Hit the subscription button below, leave a comment for us, and also share this post with someone if you really are inspired by it. And if you want to be on the show yourself, you can send me an email at info@dpglobalministries.org. Dr. Adama, thank you very much.
Thank you.